this is Sophie Lawson from sophielawson.com, and this is episode 61 of the So Free Art podcast, which is a little podcast that I do about the art and things. And this episode is going to be a random topic, so little Dennis is going to pull a topic out my bag, and I have 15 minutes to talk about it, and I'm not allowed to edit the podcast, change the topic, or it's only 15 minutes. And I think next week's podcast will be about Cats of June, which is a little art challenge, a 30-day art challenge that starts in 3 days' time on the 1st of June. I think when this podcast goes out it will be 2 days in, but you can still join. You don't have to start at the start, you can join at any time, and all you've got to do is do a drawing of a cat and hashtag it Cats of June. So I'm really looking forward to that little art challenge, and I'm going to start out doing inks. I'm going to ink some Thundercat characters and video game characters. So next week's podcast will be mostly about Cats of June, and I don't know about the rest of the month, but this one is a random topic. So you can find show notes and everything for this podcast at sophielawson.com, and it's also on video where you can find it at youtube.com/sophielawson, and I've changed the position of the camera a bit, so I think it might be better up there. But let's get into this week's podcast. I've just finished life drawing class and it was amazing, because right at the end I went to the toilet, and when I come out, right at the end, there's this bloke who I'd been standing next to all night drawing and painting suddenly started talking. I don't even know how it happened, but he mentioned that he lives in his van, and I said that's amazing, like freedom. And all of a sudden we had about a 15-minute chat about the universe, about positivity, and he is exactly the same as me, that he knows that this universe that we create, we are creating everything, and we have complete control over the universe. And he was saying the same thing, that everyone is being led to believe that we're all being limited by society, but we have such power and we can change it into positivity. And he's exactly the same. And he also said the same thing as me, that it feels like we are right on the cusp of some massive change, like positive and negative is about to collide, I think. And I think what's happening is, one way, the negative way, is going to be going into the AI system, like putting yourself into computers and AI. The other way is to go into your head. But by going into your head, it's going to allow you to get out of the system. It's really weird, like going inwards is going to let you get out, whereas the other way, you think going into the AI is going to just send you further into the system. And that's exactly what he totally agreed with it. A bit different. He thought it was a bit different, but he kind of agrees the same. He didn't think it was an AI system. He didn't think, because I think that we're inside of a virtual reality. He said he thinks we're inside of a being's dream. So he thinks something has dreamed us into existence, which that's amazing as well. But let's get into this week's podcast topic. And little Dennis is in the bag, if he can get his head in there. And there's about 60 odd topics in here now, probably more now, and I've got no idea what it's going to be. But if you want to add a new topic, anything to do with art, spirituality, or anything like that, send me a message at sophielawson.com/contact, or you can leave a message in the comments on YouTube, and I will get it I'll put it in my bag. But Dennis has picked a topic, and it is pink. So I don't know, I can see the number 30. I wonder what this is going to be about. I think I know what it is. The topic is, this is good actually. Read one of your blog posts, 1330 painting challenge. Now, this is amazing. Do you know why this is so good? Because I've just talked about how this week I'm going to be starting the Cats of June painting Katsutune art challenge, and basically this is exactly the same. By talking about this blog post, it's going to link in with that, because the painting challenge, it's like doing one of these art challenges is quite amazing. I'm a bit distracted because the internet's not working on this thing here, so I can't get onto my website, so I'm going to pause the video a bit. Hey, started working now. So we go over to challenges. So what I do is, whenever I'm doing one of these art challenges, I always blog about it. And with Inktober, I also did some videos on YouTube, but I blog about it. Well, actually, I'm going to start the timer now. So 15 minutes to talk about 30 and 30 painting challenge. So I'll start at the start. Let's move right along. We can all sing along at the sound of the gong. That's quite funny. So what was the 30 and 30 painting challenge? The 30 and 30 painting challenge was something I started in 2018. It was the first time I ever did painting, and I played around with oil paints, watercolours, and I think that was it. But it's a challenge from Leslie Sater, and I'll put links in the show notes, but she runs a podcast as well called Artists Helping Artists. I think it was the first ever art podcast that I found. And when I started the website in 2013, one of my very first blog posts was talking about artists helping artists, because I loved that podcast so much I wanted to share it on the website. But this painting challenge was basically just 30 days of painting whatever you wanted, and it was amazing because Leslie Sater's got a little website, and you could upload your paintings to the website, and every single day there must have been probably about 300 or 400 people playing along, and every day you could log in and you could see everybody's paintings. It was really fun. But when I started the challenge, I said, all I want is to have fun and make a lot of mess, because I realised it was going to be a lot of mess. And what I do with these art challenges is I like to simplify it. So, because with a painting challenge like this, you could do anything, and so you could go into it and be a bit overwhelmed. But I like to go into it knowing what I'm going to paint before I've started, because otherwise, if I do an art challenge and I haven't thought about what I'm going to be drawing or painting, because this is the first time I ever did a challenge like this, I spent more time trying to find what to draw than actually drawing. So ever since then, I now plan the weeks in advance. But what I do is I break it down so each week is ever so slightly different. But with these art challenges, you have to be really adaptable, because I started out thinking I was going to do I was going to do oil paints for the whole challenge, but I started realising, the website's playing up today, the internet. I realised that oil paints, I couldn't take oil paints outside, so what I do is I break the challenge down into chunks. So each week I do like something different, because I think it keeps it a bit fresh and exciting. So one of the weeks I wanted to do oil paintings outside, because I'd never done painting before. I thought I use this challenge just to play around, and so I did some still lifes, but I also wanted to go outside and paint. So I thought I was going to do it with oils, but I'd never used oils before, and then once I started using the oils, I realised that taking oil paints outside, it kind of wasn't very practical for me. So I ended up adapting it to do watercolours, and that was really fun, because I went outside doing watercolours, and then for the final week I painted some Little Sophie watercolours. So what I love about these art challenges is you start out with a plan, but it's only when you start actually doing things that you realise what you can and can't do. So you have to start adapting it. So with this like Cats in June, which I'm doing next month, or in the next few days, I've got like a plan of what I want to do, but it might be that 2 weeks in, I suddenly realise I can't do it, or it's not the best way to do it. So you have to be adaptable, and it's really fun. But what I do is I look at I broke it down into 6 days, so it was 6, 12, 24, 30. So it's 5 chunks of 6 days over the 30 days, and I did 6 days of abstract painting, 6 days of still lifes, which was painting my high heels. I set my high heels up and painted them. 6 days of robins. There's one of them, you can see it on the video, but I love robins, they're my spirit animal. That was probably my favourite one, actually. So that was from photographs. So I did some from my imagination, some from still life, some from photographs, some from outside with nature, because I did 6 days of nature paintings, and then I did 6 days of Lil Sophie paintings. So I did 6 days of character design as well. So this challenge it's probably my most fun challenge, I think, because it was fun, and because I'd never painted before, it was like there was nothing to lose. I couldn't make mistakes because the whole thing was just one big mistake, because I was just learning all the time. And the weird thing is, this challenge was I think it was in March. No, it was in February. It was the 30 days of February 2018, and it's like February, March, April, May, June. We're now like 4, 5, 6, 16 months after, nearly a year and a half, and I haven't done any painting since. So that's a shame. That is a real shame. But the hope is that with Cats of June next month, I'm going to do some painting. And that's probably one of the main things that I learned with these challenges is they are challenges, so they can be hard and challenging, but they are fun, and it's just a really good excuse to play. Because like I said, you can't make mistakes really. If you're going into the challenge, if you're focused on you got to make sure you're not focused on creating works of art, because if you go into the challenge thinking I'm going to create 30 works of art, you're going to be disappointed and probably frustrated, and you'll probably actually give up. So if you go into it saying I'm going to create 30 paintings, and it doesn't matter whether they're good or not, some of these things I did was hideous. But another thing that's really good is, before I ever did any of these challenges, I'd say I was probably quite terrified, very scared to put my work out there unless I had sort of perfected it. And so what ended up happening was I ended up not putting much work out because I was trying to perfect it. So this challenge was amazing, because one of the things I did with it was I said every single day I'm going to post every single painting or drawing that I do onto my Twitter or Instagram, and also onto the website. And what that did was, at first I was so scared. Every day I posted something, I thought, oh my god, what if everybody hates it and laughs at me for how bad it is? That's just what I was thinking at the time. And as you got into it, you suddenly realise that nobody actually cares. Like, if you post something and it's rubbish or not very good, because I would even say a lot of my Lil Sophie drawings that I do at the moment, they're not really that good. But again, it's not about being good, it's just practicing. And that's probably why I post so many of my Lil Sophies now, because doing one of these art challenges, it gives you the confidence to put out imperfect work, because you just realise that nobody really cares, which is a good thing. It sounds like negative to say nobody cares, but once you realise that nobody cares, you realise you can do anything. So, and then in a weird way, this is going to sound really weird, when you realise that nobody cares and you realise you can do anything, you start doing better things anyway, because you loosen up. And I would say that was the main thing that I learnt with painting, was just how freeing it was. Because I'd never painted before, and that first 6 days of abstract painting was the most fun I've ever had. I was just throwing paint everywhere, and because I'm somebody who's before that challenge, I was somebody who looked after everything. Everything had to be, I tried to keep everything pristine, and my desk, I wanted it to be really clean and everything. Ever since that challenge, my desk it's got chunks taken out of it, there's paint all over the place. You just realise that it doesn't matter. It's really fun actually to be messy, and again, when your environment is messy and free, it kind of goes into your art, so your art becomes a lot freer, because somehow the environment and your art is linked. It's kind of beautiful, really. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through each of these 6 days, and because what I did was I summed up 3 little things that each 6 days sort of taught me, and this is why I love writing about as I'm doing these challenges, because you're doing the challenge and you're drawing and you're learning, but it's only when you start writing about it, and I look at it as like journaling. You're sort of keeping a diary of what you're doing, but it's only as you're writing about what you're doing that you really learn what you're doing, and it's then that you realise whether maybe you're doing too much, because sometimes with these challenges, especially the early ones, I just tried to do way too much, and if I wasn't writing about it, I would have kept doing too much, and that probably would have made me stop doing it, because it would have just got too much. But it's when you're writing about it, you start realising, I think I'm doing too much here, so then you can start pulling bits out and simplifying it, making it a bit more manageable, which will allow you to actually complete the challenge. So these art challenges, you've got to be realistic as well, but in a weird way you have to do the challenge to understand what is being realistic, because it's only once you start doing it that you work out what is possible. But what I said was, for the 6 days of abstract painting, I said painting is liberating, messy, fun, and full of happy little accidents. That was brilliant. And that happy little accidents it's a thingamajig to Bob Ross, who is amazing. Bob Ross, I'll link to it in the show notes. There's a video of him, somebody remixed him talking, and he the way he spoke was beautiful. He talked about these happy little clouds and stuff. It was really amazing. He must have saw the world in a really playful, positive way. I'd love to meet him. But for 6 days of still lifes, I said painting is joyful, satisfying, and even more messy. Definitely satisfying. It was in the still lifes that I started realising the importance of layering with painting. You can build up stuff, and because I always thought once you put something down with paint you can't erase it, but you can actually sort of manipulate it a bit, so you can sort of erase the paint. It's, like I say, very playful. You play with the paint. For the 6 days of the robins, I said painting is rewarding, uplifting, and still messy. Messy was a theme, because I think that was the one thing that really shocked me, but really made me so happy for painting. It was just how messy it was. I never realised. It was funny, because I was making a mess over here, but I would go over to the other side of my room and there would be paint on my sheets and stuff, and I was like, how did the paint even get here? Because I wasn't painting over there. It's almost as if the paint just started taking over, which was quite fun. But for the 6 days of nature painting, which was drawing outside, I said painting is fantastic, freeing, and freezing when you're outside. That was funny, because my fingers were so cold. My fingers got so cold that I couldn't paint properly, and actually that's one where I had to adapt it, because it got so cold that for the final couple of days of that one I ended up drawing fruit and stuff inside, because it was just so cold I couldn't really focus properly. So I ended up drawing nature inside. So I still kept to the nature theme. Again, it's all about being adaptable, and like you learn for next time. If I ever do a painting challenge again, which I hope I do, I'll know that next time, if it's cold, probably not best to go out painting outside. I didn't realise. So like I said, you only really learn by doing. So, and then the final 6 days, which was my little Sophie paintings, I said painting is something that makes me smile, something that makes me feel free, and something that I want to do more of in the future. And that is probably the best way to finish it, really. And there's 15 seconds left, so it's quite a good way to end it. But I would say painting was just so much fun, and I would say the 30 and 30 painting challenge was the most fun it's my most fun challenge, I think. That's the end of it. It was my most fun challenge, and I'll put links to all of these in the show notes, but I've got little quotes here. Oh, this is going to be beautiful. The inspirational quote at the end of this episode is going to be from Bob Ross, which is going to be really nice. But that's basically it for this week's podcast. It's all about the 30 and 30 painting challenge, and I would say if you really want to push yourself and have fun, which is the main thing, is to have fun, but learn so much about yourself, because you're not just learning about like the drawing or the painting or the new techniques and stuff. You're learning a lot about yourself, because you're learning what you can and can't do. So art challenges, it's like 30 days of focus, so you do have to commit to it, but the reward, the rewards of it just last forever, because it changes who you are, really, and you get so much confidence from them. So I definitely recommend doing art challenges, and there's so many of them now. Like this month at the moment, there's one called, I think it's called Mermaid or Mermay or something, where you draw a mermaid every day for the month of May, which I didn't realise that was going on. I think I'm going to try and do that one next year, because I think that'd be quite fun, drawing mermaids, and I've enjoyed looking at everyone else's mermaids, but it's finished. So that's basically it for this week's podcast. I hope you enjoyed that, and little Dennis pulled out quite an interesting topic there, I think. And like I said, next week's podcast will be about the Cats of June, which is another little art challenge, and hopefully that will be quite fun. The first week is going to be, I'm going to be drawing I've chunked this one into 8 days. The reason I've done 8 days is because on my Instagram, on the feed, I've set it up with 8 images and then like a quote in the middle. So I thought I want to post these images on Instagram, so I wanted to keep it with 8 days, and I'm going to try and get the quote to link in with the images, so I think it'd be quite nice. But I'm going to start with inks, because I've been studying for the past month or so on doing inks with svslearn.com, and I'm really loving inks. Again, it started out really hard and quite scary, but I'm just falling in love with inks now. And again, like, the more you just practice these things, the better you get, and then the better you get, the more you want to do it, because you're getting better, which is quite exciting. So I love learning, and I think that's probably one of the best things about art challenges, is the amount of learning you do. So next week's podcast should be quite fun, I hope, and that's basically it. You can find show notes and everything at sophielawson.com, and you can find this video on youtube.com/sophielawson. That's it. So this week's inspirational quote goes to the beautiful Bob Ross, and the quote is, I love this quote. It sums Bob Ross up beautifully, and it also sums up painting, and it sums up art as well. The quote is, "Every day's a good day when you paint. Bob Ross. Every day's a good